Hello, hey everyone, good morning. I hope you're all doing great. And I hope it's the end of the year, so I wish you as well a happy new year and hopefully next year will be filled with success. Now, before we start the session, I would of course like to thank the TDRA for giving us the opportunity to be part of their online courses. And in today's session, we will be basically discussing more about the COVID impact on the user behavior. So, as you all know, we are Creative 971 and we are an agency, an e commerce agency. So, we build and design e commerce websites on Shopify. And hence, we are really into the e commerce because that's what we do. So, we've noticed that COVID impacted a lot the user behavior, and it's really important for e commerce business owners or even if you're thinking to have your e-commerce business, to know how did COVID impact the user behavior so that you could implement those strategies as well on your business, and hopefully it will help you grow your business more. So let me first introduce myself. I'm Emmy El Hasman. I'm a senior project manager in Creative 971. I've joined the team since February 2019. I'm a fashion designer as well, so this helped me to develop a detailed eye to design UI UX e-commerce websites aside from the project management too. Now, just to quickly introduce about Creative 971, as I've mentioned, we are 100% e-commerce experts. So we have developed and designed cutting-edge websites for innovative retail brands. We do have as well an online course, an online training academy, and this is basically just to train people who would like to start their e-commerce business. It's a full training online course that will help you to start your e-commerce business. The agency is owned by two German siblings, Julia and Nico, and it was founded in 2016 as an e-commerce agency, which purely works on Shopify and Shopify Plus platform. So we do know the platform in and out. Now let's dig deep and start with the topic. So first, we will be discussing with you what is user behavior so that you know what is it. And then we will be showing you the 7 steps of understanding the user behavior and a deep dive. Now, this is a very nice statement, which is don't find customers for your products, find products for your customers. So by this quotation or by this quote, you will understand that basically, usually most of the business owners, what do? They will first have an idea to sell a product or an item and then find a customer for the products. To have and to build a successful e-commerce brand, it should be the vice versa. So you should find basically products for your customers. So before starting anything, you need to think, who do you want to sell to? Who are your customers and what are they looking for? And then find a product for that. So this is the proper way to build an e-commerce brand based on how, based on COVID and how everything's changing nowadays. So it's no more first starting with a brand or starting with a product, but you would need first to know who you want to sell to, who is your target audience, and let's say the age, are they female, women, or men? So who are you going to sell to? And then after that, you would need to find a product for this. So again, let's now start. What is user behavior? So in the simplest terms, user behavior refers to the way users interact with a particular product. So it's basically how they are interacting with the product, how they are navigating your website, what is their behavior while they're purchasing items from your e-commerce business. So it's how they're interacting with it. So to analyze user behavior, you need to set up various user metrics to measure usability and intuitive design. There are countless user metrics that you can monitor and analyze, such as clicks, navigation, session length, and conversion rates. So basically, how can you manage it? You would need to see how many clicks how many clicks the user need to reach the checkout page or to finalize the purchase. The lesser the clicks, the better the user journey is, and you will see that the conversion rate is higher. If your conversion rate is low, this means that your user behavior is not working properly, or there's something that you need to fix, there's something that you need to enhance. Navigation as well. So if in case the navigation is not very clear to your users or to your customers, and people are not able to find their products very easily, then it means your navigation needs to be restructured. You need to restructure it. You need to categorize your products in a way that makes sense to your customers. It shouldn't make sense to you as a business owner, it should make sense to your customers. So you always need to think about your customers because they are the ones that will be purchasing from your website, right? So if you would like to name a specific category with a fancy name, but then it's not clear to the customers what this category is, then you would need to rename it. You would need to restructure your navigation accordingly. And also the session length. Now, let's say if a user visited your website and then, let's say within the first 1 minute, they will leave the website. Then you need to know, where did they leave? Did they leave in the homepage? Then what is the issue in the homepage? So the session length as well will give you an idea about the user behavior of your website or the user journey or the user experience, how good your website is in terms of the user experience. If a customer or a user is basically staying on your website for a long period of time, let's say they are navigating 15 to 20 minutes on your website, this means that they are enjoying the journey of your website and they are basically seeing that it makes sense to them to stay and they are able to see what they want. It is interactive for them. So it's basically your user journey will then be very good. It will be up to the point because you're able to maintain your customers, you're able to leave your customers on your website for a longer period of time. Now here, so you would need to identify the design variables that may have influenced the changes in user behavior. So you have to use a new CTA, let's say the call to action button, and play around with placements of button or added fresh colors. So you could see here the colors, the tags, the buttons. It's basically fresh, appealing to the eye. Even the banners that they are designing, you could see the buttons. So it's always informing the user that they need to click here, they need to go here. That's what they need to do. When you hover over the 60% off, you could see an underline. It means it's clickable. So your website, and you see here the hover effect as well. So this informs the user that there is something behind this section they need to click in order to be redirected to another page. So don't assume that the user will know that this picture is clickable. No, you need to implement something to show the user that this is basically a clickable link or a clickable image, either by hovering over it, and let's say you just add an underline or change the color of the text or add button or CTA, and the website itself should have very fresh colors, because as well, if the website is not appealing to the eye, then users won't feel okay, they won't feel happy visiting your website or basically checking your products as well. So there are 7 essential steps in understanding the user behavior and developing a functional, intuitive product. So first, you need to seek out deliberate, purposeful action. So you need to know the conscious actions that the users are making. Why are they actually clicking here? Why are they clicking on this product, or why are they clicking on this image and not the other image? So people love to think that they make deliberate choices. They have a plan and go through with it. They know their innermost desires and how to achieve their goals. If the customer's life and product engagement decisions are consciously driven, then why you don't actually know that the user is going to click on this specific button? Or why aren't you able to predict 100% your customer journey? It's because the customer journey, sometimes they do think unconsciousness as well. So basically, if I'm going to click on something and then I'm landing from one product to another, or I'm landing from one page to another, sometimes I don't know why I'm doing that, right? It's just because that the website is basically telling me to do this, telling me to click on this button, and then I'm clicking and checking what is the next action. So you need to have a journey map, and you need to convince the users to click here and you are basically redirecting your customers from one page to another so that they do a successful online purchase. Discover the habitual patterns. So there is a habit in the patterns, right? So you will get to understand that your customers are basically clicking here and then they will click there. You will be able to know or understand that me as a customer, if I'm a customer, if I usually visit your website and I purchase from your website a lot, you will get to know that I don't go through the home page or I don't go through the landing page. I directly go to the navigation, click on the product I want, and add it to the cart. So that's my habit, right? That's the pattern that I usually go through. So while you are studying or let's say looking over Google Analytics or just Okay, we had some technical issues. So let's now get back to where we were. Okay, so basically, you need to know the habits and the pattern of your users to be able to basically predict, not predict 100%, but then it will help you to have a customer journey which is more straightforward to the user and a better user experience as well. Okay. Okay. So point number three is to map insights onto the user journey. So first, you will get to know the unconscious and the conscious actions of your customers, and then you will get to know the habit that they have and the pattern. And now, once you understand those two, you would need to map those insights onto the user journey. So they don't always know why they feel the way they feel, but they usually know how they feel by reacting and responding to your products. So use the interactions to translate the unconscious process into actions by putting them on a user journey map. So as I've mentioned before, basically sometimes I don't know why I'm being redirected from this page to that page, right? Sometimes I spend 20 minutes on a website, on an e-commerce website. It's just because the website is basically directing me to go to this page. It's directing me, and I can see that this specific page is basically interesting. So I will then be joining or viewing one page to another, going from one page to another. So this means that this website already studied the user behavior. They already studied how the user basically behaves on their website, and they have built a user journey so that they will be able to predict around 90% of the user's journey and the user behavior. So that's what you call it as a journey map. So you would need first to do your research, to check your analytics, and then you will understand how your customers are usually behaving. And after that, you will definitely implement it on your journey. So point number 4 is to fine tune the user benefits. Now, users won't be bothered by your product unless it can benefit them in one of the three overreaching ways. So you need to think that your product should either solve a problem, address a need, or do something to make them feel better, right? So your product should basically cover one of those three questions or 3 points. So if your product should first, of course, provide a benefit to your users so that they will be purchasing it. So it should either be solving a problem, or there's a need in the market, so it's addressing that need, or you are making something that makes them feel better. So let's say any product that, um, let's say candles as an example, right? So if a candle is having an essential oil that makes your customers or your users to relax, it's anything that makes them feel better. Even clothes that makes the customer or your users feel better while they're wearing it. So it should have those 3 points or solve a problem as an example. So let's say as an example, it's very annoying to wear socks, and let's say if the floor is wet, right? So if you're going to invent socks that is waterproof, then that's solving a problem, just as an example, or addressing a need. So even with a fully ready product that is currently on the market or about to hit the stores, when you develop customer journey maps, it's worth delving into what the customer really want. So while you're in the process of doing your customer journey map, you should know basically who your customers are and what do they need. So you need to basically do the products for your customers. Get closer than ever to your customers, so close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. So you need to really understand what your customers need and then provide them the product before they think or they know that they basically need this or they want this specific item. So that's how close you should be to your customers. And this as well goes back to the first quote, which is you need to find a product for your customers and not the vice versa. Point number 5 is to use automation tools. So everything should be automated. And once you have everything automated, once your journey is automated, then basically the user journey will be somehow predictable, right? So the whys behind the user's behavior stem from the instinctive, unconscious process. You may be more interested in the hows delivered as outward actions and event on your user journey. So let technology do the work. So basically, you just need to know the how, and the why the user won't know the why behind it, right? It's because you've built the user journey to redirect the user from this page to another. So basically, you are playing with the whys and not the customer. To stay on top of all the overwhelming customer behavior, make your software tools both the start and the end point of the analytical process. So basically, your website or your tool should be the starting point and the end point. So you should be able to automate everything, to automate the full user journey, that the users will reach out to your homepage and end up in the checkout page. Point number six, iterate. So don't underestimate the value of feedback. Feedback is very, very, very important, especially nowadays. So feedback from software platforms or from in-app interaction, for instance, contains tons of value-packed data you can use to price throughout the house and get into the whys. So while you are using any software tool that helps you to understand the user journey, helps you to understand your customers, then you need to read the feedback for that, and just don't underestimate the value and don't assume, right? So I would like you to, if you are using any analytical software, please make sure that you're reading the feedback, because the feedback will have a lot of values in it, and use these treasures banks to fine tune your journey maps, revamp your business goals, and also enhance your product. So not only this, also your customers' feedback is very important. So if your customers are giving you feedback about your product, then you would need to listen to them, hear them, right? You need to know what they're looking for. What do they want you to enhance in your product, and then build the product based on your customer's need. Point number seven is don't assume, check. Remember, your user's perception matters more than yours. So basically, why do we usually say this? It's because at the end, your users will be buying from you and not you. So you need to remember that your user's perception matters. You can always analyze emotion driven KPIs, and observation behind the action. So once you know why the user are basically not clicking on the add to cart in the product page, or basically they're not clicking on the checkout, so those actions will help you understand your users. They will help you understand the emotion driven KPIs, and why are they basically clicking on this button and not on this button, why are they actually adding an item to the cart, or why are your users basically leaving the checkout page. So why is it always in the checkout page that you're using your customers? This will help you, of course, to understand the emotion behind the action based on the clicks and based on your user journey. However, you need to be focused on how the user perceives the product you think you have delivered, and see if your perception match. So sometimes you will imagine your product in a specific way, right? Sometimes you have your reasons why you're building your product this way, or why you want to sell this kind of item. However, it won't be delivered to your customer the same way. So the idea, the concept won't be delivered to your users. Your users will see your product in a different point of view, in a different way. So you need to know the feedback of your customers, so that you will understand if your customer is basically seeing the product the way you actually developed your product or not. Point number two now is to understand. So now we've understood the user behavior. We know the 7 steps on how can you understand your user behavior. Now let's move to the COVID impact on the user behavior. So while purchases are currently centered on the most basic needs, people are shopping more consciously, buying local, and are embracing digital commerce. So after COVID, people are more aware of supporting local brands, supporting small businesses, and with all the social media trends as well, it helps your users to basically it brought more attention to the people that they would need to support more startups, they would need to support small business. So basically, the full shopping experience after COVID has changed. So you need to understand how did COVID impact the user behavior so that you could implement it. To manage isolation during pandemic, consumers are using digital to connect, learn, play, and they will continue to. So during COVID, users basically, or people, were using their digital platform or their mobile devices or laptop more than ever, more than before. It's not only to communicate with their friends, it's not only to communicate with their family, but also to purchase from, to learn, and to play. So during COVID, everything went digital, right? So even a lot of business owners, they've digitalized their business. Why? Because life completely changed to the digital world, especially during the pandemic. New buying behavior as well in this new normal. So new buying behavior was developed in this new normal. Consumer priorities have become centered on the most basic needs, sending demand for hygiene, cleaning, and products soaring as well, while non-essential categories slumps. So during COVID, people are they are purchasing more essential products, product that is more related to the hygiene, to the health sector, right? And the non-essential categories were dropped down, right? So the factors that influence brand decisions are also changing as a buy local trend accelerate. So also a lot of brands, big brands now, they are changing their strategy, changing their business behavior as well, sorry, their customer journey, and they're changing, basically revamping their business. Why? Because they're understanding that now people are more looking for the buy local or supporting the small businesses. So this trend now is accelerating. A lot of social marketing campaigns, if you can see, of course, on the social media, they're always supporting and highlighting new brands, and a lot of new brands were evolved in the pandemic. It may be that those brands were basically there before the pandemic. However, it was more highlighted during the pandemic because a lot of people now are supporting those brands. A lot of influencers are posting about the buy local trend, right, and to support new businesses and small businesses. So digital commerce has also seen a boost as new consumers migrate online from grocery shopping. A rise like that is likely to sustain post the outbreak. So also after the outbreak, people will start purchasing or buying their grocery online. We are already doing that now because during the pandemic, we were forced to stay indoors, we were forced to stay in the home, so we were forced to purchase our groceries online, right? So people were trying to minimize the physical interaction as much as they can, as much as possible. So they were basically even purchasing their grocery online. Before the pandemic, a very small percentage of people were doing so, but after the pandemic, this has increased. So, as you could see, everything is changing after the pandemic, and it's going to be the new normal as well, the user behavior. One of the perfect example of staples demand when Noon launched their own grocery product during the peak of COVID-19. So if you remember, Noon was only a multi-vendor platform, right? It was only, and they've started to have their own products as well. But initially, they started similar to Amazon. So it was a multi-vendor marketplace. People were basically purchasing multi-stores or multi-brands from there. But then during the pandemic, they knew that people now want to purchase groceries. So it was very smart of them to have their own known grocery section in the platform. So that's what means that you need to listen to your customers. You need to be always up to date. You need to always be one step ahead, right? So they've directly launched their known grocery because they knew the need of that. They knew that people are basically now looking forward to purchase grocery items online, and hence they build their own new and everlasting shopping habits. So the new habits, now we're going to discuss the new habits that the COVID-19 brought to the e-commerce business, and it's going to be the everlasting habits as well. So the ever increasing focus on health, people are now focused on health more than before. The consumer packaged goods, which is the CPG, they should heed this change and make it a priority to support healthy lifestyles for consumers. So you would need to make sure that you're selling as well more products that is more focused on health, more focused on the environment as well. So everything is basically moving towards the health strategy. So brands need to consider this as well. A rise in conscious consumption. People are thinking twice before they buy any item, before they consume it as well. So we've seen a rise in conscious consumption as well. Consumers are more mindful of what they're buying now. It's not like before. So they are striving to limit food waste, shop more cost consciously, and buy more sustainable options. Brand will need to make this a key part of their offer. So brands needs to make sure that they are having their product, let's say, not very cheap. I'm not saying that, of course, you need to lose, but need to consider that customers are now purchasing more cost consciously. So they are more aware and they don't want to spend a lot on a specific product. They will do the research. They will try to find if there's a product that is listed in another website, they will try to find the cheapest option and they will purchase from there. So they are more conscious when they're purchasing goods. Growing love for local, as we've mentioned, a lot of people now are supporting the local brands, they're supporting the small businesses. So that's a new trend that COVID brought to the e-commerce business as well, or to the e-commerce world. So here it's just some statistics that you will be able to see. March and between the changes of March and April, what happened? So limiting of food waste got increased as well. You could see that the shopping more for others is reduced. So people nowadays they're shopping very less for others, but the limiting of food waste is 68 to 67%. Shopping more health consciously is 60%, and making more sustainable choices as well. Let's say the sustainable fashion industry, as an example, this rise as well. So it rose to 54%. The shopping more cost consciously, as you've mentioned. So it's just some statistics for you to see the changes that COVID impacted on the e-commerce and the buying behavior. Social impact. COVID-19 outbreak has slowed the pace and changed the daily life for many consumers. And this is having a profound impact on the way we view personal hygiene, health, and how we engage with our communities, friends, and families as well. So COVID-19 had a lot of social impact too. So there's also a positive evidence to suggest that this crisis will build communities rather than separate them. So it's now important more than ever that your feedback, or basically the feedback of your products or the feedback of your users, is basically important more than ever now. Why? Because now people are more close together, right? They're communicating together. They're always discussing about things that they're purchasing. So if one of your customers are happy with your product, be sure that they will be informing their friends, because since COVID started, the communication, or let's say the social impact, got stronger. So people will be telling their friends if they've liked your products or not. And hence, again, we will go to the first point: find products to your customers. The way in which people spend their leisure time are changing because of the outbreak and related social distancing measures as well. And again, those habits are likely to be sustained. So more than half plan to continue watching more news after the outbreak. That's just as an example, right? While 55%, sorry, will prioritize more time with the family. Entertainment, learning, and do-it-yourself have also seen a rise. So we Creative 971 as an example, we've started our online business, or our online course academy. Why did we start that? We've started that in 2019 because we understood that people are looking to learn on how can they generate or start their e-commerce business. Nowadays people are more conscious, right? So they would like to do things themselves if they have the time, of course. So if they have the time, they would like to start their e-commerce business by themselves. They would like to build the e-commerce brand and basically just launch the e-commerce website by themselves. And hence, we've listened to our customers, we've listened to what they need, and we've developed or built the online course academy for them. So it helps them to understand the full e commerce steps, and it helps them as well to start their e commerce business by themselves. So it's like the first step that they could take. Staying connected with customers, with consumers, COVID 19 is health and economic crisis that has sustainable impact on consumer attitudes, behavior, and purchasing habits. So the CPG companies can adapt to these changes by taking actions to respond, reset, and renew to be positioned even more stronger for the future. So, as I've mentioned as well, you would need to hear to know what your customers need, and then you need to restructure your business accordingly. Respond. Stand up for a cross functional command center with KPI tracking. So, you need to have a KPI tracking and revamp or restructure your business accordingly. Create an elastic digital workplace task force. Reshape your marketing plan around the new demand and brand purpose. So it's not that you've built your brand in one specific way and you won't change it. No, you need to always upgrade it, you need to always restructure it, and you need to always change your marketing plan accordingly as well. Renew. Accelerate the move to an intelligent data driven operating model. Reprioritize the enterprise investment plans for post COVID era as well. Scan market for M&A opportunity. So basically the driving idea behind the deal. So that's the M&A opportunity. It's the merge and acquisition. So there's always an idea behind a deal. So you need to always renew that as well. You need to reprioritize the enterprise investment. People are now investing in new brands. They're investing in new enterprise brands or business models, and they are moving to an intelligent, data-driven, and operating model. So they are basically collecting data from their customers in a more intelligent way so that it could help them in developing the user behavior journey in a more structured way and more accurate way as well. Reset, redefine relationships with consumers, customers, and employees, and reimagine your organization and ways of working. So you need to always reset and renew. Reconsider your product and service portfolio. If your customers are asking for a different kind of product, listen to them and reset your product accordingly. If you're selling a specific pen, as an example, just as an example, you're selling a pen, right? So customers, they are more interested in having more colors in one pen. So rather than purchasing 4 or 5 pens, they would purchase one pen with all of the colors. So just listen to them. If you used to sell each pen color separately, your customers are telling you that they would need one pen which is having everything. Then think of that and reset your product accordingly as well and reconsider it. Now, point number 3 is how user behavior analytics helps in having a successful e-commerce business. So we've discussed how important it is that you understand your user behavior, how important it is that you collect the data, the intelligent data that you need in order for you to build your business map. So let's now see how the user behavior analytics help you in having a successful e-commerce business. So what are user behavior analytics? In the simplest of terms, user behavior refers to the way users interact. To analyze the user behavior, you need to set up various user metrics, right? So you need to understand what are the important points that the users are looking for, how could you enhance it, and you need to basically see the metrics, analyze your user customer journey, and try to know based on what they are doing that based, as we've mentioned, based on the clicks, based on the navigation. If your navigation is not providing the customers the information that they need, then basically or let's say if your navigation is not straightforward to your customers, then this will help you to restructure your navigation so that you will build a more structured user behavior, and the most successful one as well. Tracking why and where users leave a site. That's very important. So the behavior flow report in Google Analytics shows data such as the way a customer moves through your website, the length of the time they spend on every page, and the final page they go to before leaving the site. So you would need to know, let's say, the duration of your users and how many seconds or minutes do they spend on that specific page. And you would need to know what is the final page that they visit before basically leaving the website. So if they are leaving the website on the checkout page, it means that your issue is not with the product. Your customers were convinced to add the product to the cart. So your issue is not with the product anymore. It's basically with the checkout page. It's basically with the checkout process. It could be that in the checkout you're asking too many details, too many information that the user, they don't want to fill, so they leave the website. It could be that there is a photo for page that appears in the checkout page, so you need to go. Consider yourself as a user, reach to the checkout page and see what went wrong, and then try to fix that. So it's very important that you know which pages your customers are basically spending the most time in, and what page was the last page that they visited, because this will help you to understand where the issue is and how can you enhance it. These analytics can be useful for determining a number of different things. For example, the way user moves through the website can show that they might be confused or troubled when finding what they want. So if in the navigation, as mentioned again, so let's say they're in the navigation, they're not able to know what, let's say if I'm looking for a specific product, as an example, I'm looking for shoes, let's say, but the navigation is not having shoes as a category, as an example, right? It's not basically, or you are recalling shoe as a different name. So you are categorizing the shoes in a category and you're naming it, let's say, differently. I won't know what is it, right? So maybe it makes sense to you as a business owner because you are the one who structured your navigation, but for the customers, they're not aware of it, right? So we need to make sure that your navigation is built in a way that your customers will understand. Improving user experience with behavior analytics. For example, let's say that your conversion rate for this month is 30% higher than it was the previous month. How can you find out the reason for such a drastic improvement? So you would need to know what did you do that the customers or your users liked so that you could always enhance it and improve it and increase your conversion rate. You can take a lucky guess. It's just, let's say, you could say, oh, just guess what actually was the cause of this change. Or you can look into your user behavior from the past 2 months and understand what changed. And it will help you understand how to improve more. Improving user experience with behavior analytics. Session recordings as well gives you rendering of real action your customers take on your website, including clicks, taps, and scrolling. So session recording is very important because it helps you to know the number of clicks on your website and the scrolling as well. If users are basically clicking from one page to another, and if they are scrolling through the page, this means that your page is developed in a proper way if they're able to click and if they're able to scroll and enjoying the journey. A heat map will give you ideas on where users spend most of their time engaging with CTAs, videos, and other clickable assets. So heat map will let you know how your customers are spending their time with the CTA button. Are they engaging or not? So basically the engagement of your customers. Funnel analysis. This will help you to optimize where the biggest barrier in the conversion lies. It tracks page by page till users completes their goal. So funnel analysis will analyze basically how can you improve your website, how can you enhance it and optimize it. So this is funnel analysis. An on-site survey will help with direct personal responses from users with things that are working and ones that are not. So on the website, you could have a very quick survey that you're asking your customers what did they like, what would they like you to change and enhance. Feedback widgets as well help with incoming feedback by providing hyper targeted visual feedback on specific pages. So feedback widget, it is more targeted than the on-site survey. On-site survey, it is only a personal responses from user, but feedback widget, it's basically more targeted on specific pages, and it is more visual feedback as well. Breaking down search behaviors. Whenever a user searches for something, their intent will be either navigational, informational, or transactional. So if I'm searching for something, it could be that I'm only navigating through the website, right? So I just want to see what you have. Or information, I just want to get some information, or transactional, which is basically purchasing. If a user particularly search for a site like Twitter or Netflix, it is navigational, right? So they are searching to get to the site that they want to go. With information at our fingertips, certain inquisitive users will utilize Google to update themselves with knowledge. So some people now will just search in Google to know knowledge. If they are, let's say, they would like to know more information about um, let's say, why is my dog acting this way, just as an example. Then here I'm looking for an information, for example, to find out the best Oscar winning movie of 2018. That's just an information, right? So finally, when a user searches for to purchase a product, this search action is transactional. So as an example, I am searching, let's say, for a hoodie. So this is, I'm searching for a product, so it's a transactional search. Demographics search behavior is influenced by technological advances. For example, voice search technology and the increase of mobile phone usage has led to an increase of simplified speech style searches. A lot of people now, or a lot of websites, are having the speech search. Why? Because people now are using their phone a lot. They're used to sending voice notes over WhatsApp as well. So the way that they are using their phones, the way that they are interacting is changing as well. So people now would just prefer to search through a voice note or through speech style search rather than typing. Developments in language have seen conversational queries like which is the best pizza house near me, as an example. So it's not that they know what they want, so they are willing to try new things. They're just, let's say, searching for pizzas around their area. So while you are doing your marketing strategy, you need to consider as well the location. You need to consider the search keywords. So it should be built in a very smart way, because nowadays the search is different than other than long time ago. So previously, people were just searching for a specific product, let's say, or they were searching for a specific restaurant to go and have lunch. However, now it's different. They're just looking what do they have around their area, and then Google will suggest them, or any other food application. It will suggest them any restaurants around their area. Customer behavior with Google Analytics. So you would need to create an outline of your users. So once you go through the Google Analytics, once you read your analytics and you understand the statistics behind it, you need to create an outline of your users, so you will understand the user behavior more. Once you are done with the user behavior research, create a user persona, including the following. So the demographics, which is the statistics of the age, location, material statics, psychographics as well, which is basically the interest, activities, and some behavior points, which is search intent, device, and language. So those points are really important that you need to consider while you are doing your behavior journey or research. Why? You need to know the age of your customers so you know how to communicate with them, so you know what products they are looking for. The location is very important for your marketing. Marital status is basically as well important, just so you know what kind of customers you're having, what are their interests. So if you're selling, if it's a fashion apparel, let's say, and they're selling clothes, shoes, and accessories, you need to know if your customer is interested only in shoes, then your marketing will be personalized. So when you're sending them email marketing, or even targeting them through social media marketing, if they're only interested in shoes, then don't show them hoodies as an example. Just show them your shoes products so you know what they like, what they're interested in, and hence the percentage of them clicking to that ad and to purchasing the product is more higher, so you will increase your conversion rate. Behavior, which is the search intent as well. How do they search to the product so that you will work on your SEO accordingly? What devices they are using so that when you do the testing of your business, you do the testing based on the devices that they are having, and as well the device that they are having gives you a lot of ideas about if they are willing to spend much or not also, and the language that they're speaking so that you could know how to communicate with them. So find out what's holding back any transaction or conversions. It could be the way the prices are displayed, wording on products, on product page, or perhaps a broken form at the checkout. So you need to know what is holding them back and enhance it and work to provide them a better user experience so that basically the purchases or the conversion rate will increase. Strategic surveys. So customers, your customers, sorry, are an important resources. You should always do post-purchase survey. So you need to know the feedback of your customers, because when you know the feedback of your customers, you will know what went wrong and what you need to enhance, and even what is good about your product, so you keep on doing more of it. Feedback is very important not only for you as a business owner, but also for other users. Sometimes I will purchase an item just based on a feedback. So if users are happy with that product or with that item or with the purchase, then it will encourage me to purchase it. It will encourage me to buy it. However, if the feedback is not really good, then even so, even though if the product looks very good and it's what I want, if the feedback is not okay, then I will not purchase it. Why? Because it means that other people purchase it, they did not like it, so probably there's something wrong with it. So it's really important that you that you collect feedback and surveys as well, because that's the only way that you can build a community. And it's very important to build a community, because once you build the community, people or your customers will basically trust your brand more, and you will be closer to your customers. You will get to know their feedback, you will get to know what you need to enhance. That's basically it. So that's our contact numbers, contact details if you would like to reach out to us. We do, that's our Instagram handle as well, creative971. That's the email address, so you could reach out to us through those through the phone number, email address, and please make sure to follow us on Instagram as well. If you have any questions, please do let us know. How can we predict such trends to be better prepared? What tools can I use to track information about my users? You could use, as we've discussed, let's say Google Analytics. Google Analytics is very important for you to understand your user behavior, sorry, on the website. Sometimes if you're using as well Shopify will provide you with some analytical tools as well, and some statistics and analytical reports. So it will help you to understand your customer behavior too. So that's just as an example to what tools you can use. And how can we predict such trends to be better prepared? Usually, you need to always be up to date on what is happening in the market, right? You need to always be up to date, because once you're up to date, once you know what is happening in the world, what is happening in the market, you will get to know and predict the trends that is going to happen. You cannot just sit and predict, let's say, and say in 1 year this is going to happen, or that's the new trend. No, you need to always be up to date with all of the updates in the market, up to dates in the social media as well, because nowadays people are sharing a lot of information in the social media. As an example, how did the trend of supporting small businesses grew now, right? It's a trend now on social media. Even you will see some TikToks only about supporting small business. So it didn't start just directly from the TikTok trends, or it didn't start from the real trends. As an example, good influencers or big influencers as well, they basically started highlighting more about local brands. You will find that influencers started to promote new startup businesses, and that's how people understood that now the new trend is to purchase from local brand, right? So the only way for you to predict is to be up to date, to know what is happening in the market, to read reports, to always be up to date to the new changes. What's a good sample of user testing to do so I can have a good result to make changes on? Okay. So it depends whether your website is live or not. If your website is not live, it's very important to have a soft launch where you will send your website, the link, let's say, to your friends. Send it to people who never saw your website before, because sometimes, when you work on a website for a long period of time while you're preparing your website, adding your products, and so on, you are used to it and you already know the clicks. However, when you send it to someone else, send it to your friends, to family members, so that they could test it, they will tell you, I found it difficult to find for a product, let's say, or I did not understand this navigational term, then this will help you to understand what you need to enhance. So that's basically pre-launch, before launching the website. If you've launched your website, then to understand it, you need to do some surveys as well, as we've mentioned. Send some online service to your users. How can you enhance it? Through social media, if you're having a community, do some polls, or ask your followers some questions so that you understand what they like, what they understand in the website, and what is causing them a bit of delay, or that they are not 100% sure what to do. Then you would need to communicate with your users to understand how can you better enhance your customer journey. Aside from this, there's a lot of user testing tools that you could do. There's agencies that could help you to do some user testing, where they will basically have people, users, accessing your website, just testing your website with actual sensors that will test and sense, let's say, the psychological side as well, whether they are happy in that specific page, whether they're angry, let's say. Digital of Things is one example as well. It's an agency that will help you to do some user testing. So if you are a big brand and you would like to really do a proper using testing, then you could, let's say, as an example, check Digital of Things out. They will do the user experience testing for you. It is very detailed. They will basically test the emotions of the user on each and every page. So it will help you understand whether this section is making your customers angry or not, or if they're happy, or if it is easy for them to understand. I want to launch an online store with specific target audience. Is it better to have a bigger target or a smaller target early on? Okay, that's a very good question. It's always better to start small and then grow. It depends on your budget. Now, if you have a limited budget, then just focus on a targeted audience. Focus on a small target and not bigger target. Why? It will help you to structure the products that you're going to sell as well. So as an example, if you have a very wide variety of target audience, you will be lost to let's say what products you will be selling, right? What products you need to sell on your website. So it won't be very straightforward for you. So you need to make sure that, let's say, if you're having a smaller target audience, you will know, you will be able to limit down the products that you will be selling on your website. So it will be easier for you and more structured and more straight to the point if you're having a smaller target audience. And then, of course, slowly, step by step, you're going to grow more and more, because it will help you as well to understand your customers more. It will help you to know what your customers are looking for. And then step by step, you could definitely grow. I hope I was able to answer your question. Is there any other questions? Um, I think there is no any other questions, so all questions were answered. Thank you very much for today's session, and hopefully we'll see you again next year with more sessions. Let us know as well if you would like more, let's say, comment down in the comment box as well, so that we know what kind of topics you would like to hear from us, what kind of topics you would like us to talk about with the TDRA Virtual Academy. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead. Bye bye.